Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
Oh my God, my headphones were up too high and you totally blew my ears out.
And here we are for episode 101.
Ooh.
And we've destroyed Ron's ears.
Man, what's happening?
There he is.
There he is. Oh, what's happening? This is a good
A lot happening.
lot happening, man.
A lot happening.
There's a lot,
Premier
of Premier
Leagues.
League to chat about before we roll into this here international break.
Yep. Some playoff hunts in the MLS.
Playoffs. It's happening for some people.
And then,
Not for us here in Orlando.
no, hell no. And then a little U.S. women's national team started their World Cup qualifying campaign.
In a big way.
Yes, they did.
Boom, boom, boom. So let's roll on. If you've never listened to the show before and you've joined us for episode 101, we're sorry if there are any inside jokes that get dropped, but we start chatting about beer first before we move into the soccer.
You serious, Clint?
Introduce you to a new beer. Who knows? We got it looked like we got new listeners based off of episode 100. So I wanted to just reiterate what the show is all about.
Beer
Then soccer.
And tomfoolery.
and three complete idiots.
Got your codswallop. Your tomfoolery.
Yeah, see? No more tomfoolery. If you know what's good for you.
I'll give you what for, see?
I'll give you one more and make it 5.
The episode's only half done in 1920s voices. I guess that's 1930s technically. All right, so I've got the beer this week because
Yeah.
our rotation's been way off because we've had
Do we have
special.
rotation?
Well,
We used
like,
to.
well,
Yeah,
because
we
Ron
used
had
to.
come in and had some special stuff, so we wanted to go and get that in the pod. We were doing real good about each one of us each week doing something new. So I feel like this is the start of getting back on rotation. It was a tough call today because I still have more Oktoberfest from another company in my fridge, and I am definitely on the Oktoberfest kick. But I decided to do something different because my mom visited this past weekend and brought a gift. So I thought it'd be appropriate as and this particular beer is appropriate as I am from North Carolina. This particular beer is from the region in which my parents currently live. And it also alludes to the Scottish roots that my family has.
I know what brewery.
That's right in Morgantown. Or Morganton, I guess is how it's really pronounced. North Carolina. I'm from Eastern North Carolina. My parents moved to Western North Carolina, out in the mountains. So here it goes.
North Kakalaki.
From Catawba Brewing, we've got the HOPNESS Monster.
Ooh, I like you.
Yes.
This is cool.
A big old hop-tastic.
Yeah.
Oh, what a cool can.
HOPNESS Monster.
That dragon's got some
Wicked.
attitude.
So real quick, I'll give you a quick of their history because I thought it was kind of a cool one. Western North Carolina, this is near like the Asheville area and stuff where now Sierra Nevada's got a brewery, Highland Brewery's got a thing, and this is like the craft brew culture really kicked off in Western Carolina. So it says it all began with for Catawba Brewing. It says it all began with a Christmas gift in 1994. Billy Pyatt, a notorious hard guy to buy presents for, fell in love with the carboys, pots, hydrometers, grains, hops, chemistry, and physics involved in brewing. His brother Scott fell right in with him, and their love became an obsession that could only be resolved by going pro, which is not easy to do in 1999. When the business plan was hatched, the Pyatts bought the assets of a defunct brewery in Colorado, flew out there, rented a U-Haul. This is 99, love it. Rented a U-Haul and brought it home to North Carolina. Of course, it stayed in the garage for 3 years while they searched for an appropriate building. It says, we finally found a spot in Glen Alpine, North Carolina. While I didn't have any glass in the windows and ivy was growing inside of the building, the price was right at $200 a month. There weren't many turnkey breweries back then, so the pieces and parts were cobbled together from dairy equipment or handmade. But we made beer and sold our first kegs to Barley's, Mellow Mushroom, and the Beer Garden in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
That produced enough money to buy some ingredients, make another batch, rinse, and repeat. Fast forward to today, 17 years later, we've grown organically to a 30-barrel Spinkman brew house that is shinier than we ever imagined during those humble beginnings. We've created jobs in our communities and tutored many a new brewer who's gone to forge their own way in the industry. The production facility Tasting Room is in downtown Morganton, where the 30-barrel brew house makes the 9 flagship beers. Asheville's home to the second Tasting Room brewery in the South Slope area, with a 7-barrel brewery that makes small batches, and where our barrel aging program is housed. Asheville's Biltmore Village also has a conveniently located tasting room. Our 4th location, our 3rd brewery, will open in early 2017 in the Plaza Midwood area of Charlotte. And that's a 10-barrel brewery, tasting room, magnificent city views. It says our products are found in eco-friendly cans and kegs in 4 states. We're proud to be one of the old guys in the burgeoning craft beer market. If you like craft beer, you really could just go get a ticket and go to Asheville, North Carolina right now.
Yeah.
And just it's like
That's awesome.
Disneyland of
everywhere.
beer. Yeah.
Everywhere.
So many
And
good
it's
breweries.
still exploding.
Yeah, so many good breweries. And the weather is delightful, especially this time of year. There's, the leaves are changing, fruity Pebble Mountains.
It's there, them falls up in that region.
That thing we don't get. So this is the HOPNESS Monster, and this is their
I'm excited to try this.
This is their, here, get you a little information on their
can.
India Pale Ale from their website. This is a 6.5% ABV, 60 IBU. Says our Blue Ridge Mountain harbors their own Nessie, Hopius Hedius, the HOPNESS monster. She lurks in the cold, fresh waters of western North Carolina, rising to terrorize poor, hop-shy souls. As the locals say, bless their hearts, they don't know any better. With an abundance of fresh citron cascade, this IPA boasts a big, biting hop profile with notes of tropical fruit, juicy citrus, and pine. Embrace her beastly charms. Tasting notes. Brewed with an abundance of fresh citron cascade, this IPA boasts a big, biting hop profile laden with ripe tropical fruit, juicy citrus, and pine. 6.5 ABV. It strikes the perfect balance of everyday drinkability with intensely aromatic and flavorful hop character. 2-row pale malt, caramel, flaked wheat. Oh, I love when they put all the stuff in there. So
yeah,
you want to try mess around on your home brewery. And they've been making this since 2017. So this is one of their newer beers, and I have never had it.
The can art is super cool. It's got this like dragon coming up out of the water, and the top of the head is a hop.
I like it. Says dive in and face your fears.
It's pretty awesome. Awesome.
That's good. All right. I don't think we've had anything from Catawba Brewing.
I don't believe we have. This
Did
is the
you
first
bring
time
anything up from North Carolina? You brought up North Carolina stuff.
This is actually the first time I've heard of this brewery. I never
we've
heard
had
this
it
before. Yeah.
when we traveled up there for.
Yeah, I can't recall.
Yeah.
We'll have to check the Brewtiful beer blog.
All right, here we go.
Ooh, that aroma.
Ooh, that smells good.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this smells like
Hoppy,
home
a little bit
brewing.
of pine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It smells like home brewing where you have this fresh hops laying out.
Yeah.
Oh man, this
Laying out
smells
gets
majestic. Oh, I'm very excited about this. HOPNESS Monster.
It's got a really good color to it.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh, that dark gold too.
Mm-hmm.
Looks even better in a Brewtiful Game glass. Oh yeah.
A thin but foamy head. It's not filtered, so
No,
it's,
yeah, not at all.
it's pretty cloudy, which is nice.
All right.
Cloudy with a chance of hops.
What? Okay, we got to patent that name right now.
No, right?
Because that's a good that's a good Florida brew name of beer. Cloudy with a chance of hops. All right, gents. Cheers.
Slangevar.
Bless their hearts. They don't know no better. Oh man.
I've died and gone to heaven.
Ooh, that's good. That's almost the New England IPA thing that's so popular right now, which is more citrusy tasting than this.
Though, yeah.
But this has got that kind of juiciness, though. Man,
It's good.
It stops, the hop flavor stops just short of peeling the enamel off your teeth.
yeah,
Perfect.
It doesn't hit the maximum
Yeah.
point of no return.
Yeah, it doesn't make you go, ooh.
Oh man, that's tasty.
That's a good one.
All right, thanks,
Really,
Mom.
a good crisp mouthfeel too. It's not like the malt usually in some of these can try and make up for the amount of hops.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets that like
Yeah, it gets like sweet.
yeah,
like, yeah.
But this is not at all.
It was great because Mom came in, had gifts for her grandbaby, had like a painting for my wife, and then handed me a 6-pack of this. I was like,
Awesome.
Yay.
Perfect.
Thanks, Mama.
Oh, that's good. I just love the quote of, as they say, bless their hearts. They don't know any better.
Bless them.
Boom. All right. Speaking of not knowing any better, we
did you
still
say
choose.
You have a 6-pack of this?
I do have a 6-pack.
Lovely.
I might not make it back. Might not be any of that left before this pod is done.
Undoubtable.
Because this is drinkable. I think that's actually what's remarkable about it. It's so hoppy, but it's pretty slammable. It's not too much to keep you from enjoying more than one.
Enjoying.
Now, I will say we've had a really good little span of Premier League weekend, I feel like, as we move over to the soccer.
We certainly did. It was a very interesting week
so
in
many
the Premier League.
storylines.
Yeah, a lot of storylines, and not necessarily some of the best games, but definitely some interesting storylines and a little bit of movement with the table as well. And you kind of seen the table take shape a bit here now as we're, 8 games in?
Top and bottom.
Top and bottom, yeah.
And I will say there's some there on the bottom that feel like that just might be the situation.
Yeah, for certain. I mean, some teams that we're not really going to mention too much in this one, but Huddersfield and Cardiff down there sitting on 3 and 2 points respectively, and they
just looking terrible.
Yeah, you could, and both are on -13s, which are the worst in the league thus far. So you could definitely see them sticking around.
That's in 8 games. 8 games.
Yeah,
oof, that's rough.
3 points for Huddersfield and 2 points for Cardiff on -13. Not good.
No, not at all. So let's move on to some of these top 5 matches from week 8 we want to look at. First up, we got Crystal Palace at home versus the Wolverhampton Wolves.
Yeah, not necessarily one of the best games of the weekend, but I think it's big for Wolves because Wolves continue their streak of playing very, very well out the gate.
The Wolves are not a one and done. They're sticking around.
No, it certainly does not.
No.
And the changeover that I think some of us thought, I think I thought of the team on how much they changed over, you haven't seen that affect them whatsoever. They're playing very, very well.
It's been the reverse. They've walked into playing with the big boys, and they are competitive out the gate.
Oh, yeah. And I think, Ron, you said on the last pod that kind of core of the Portuguese in their team there has just pushed them. And right now, they're all the way up to 7th. Out of 8 games, for Wolves to be up in 7th right now in a newly promoted club, that's fantastic.
Yeah, certainly. They're not doing well possession-wise for most of their matches, but man, they put their chances away when they get them.
It doesn't matter. We don't need it.
Yeah.
They managed to come out on top.
Crystal Palace beat them in every stat with the exception of clearances and tackles. Other than that, they had none of the stats on their side, but man, they can put the ball away.
And
a lovely finish from Doherty in this one too, at a really tough angle, but he snuck it back across goal into that far post, and that was enough to see them get all 3 points from this.
I feel like the Wolves are going to be your this year's dividing line, like Burnley was, where that's kind of your last team before you see a 15-point gap, between the team below as we had toward the end of the season. It feels like Wolves are going to be able to hang up top.
Yeah, agreed. I think they'll probably drop it. I definitely think that at this stage you could probably see them in the top 10.
Oh yeah,
maybe just outside the top 10. Unless things turn for the worse, I don't think they get into a relegation.
I think they got a lot of teams below them that are having issues, and I think it keeps them in the top 10.
That's probably going to be the case. Yeah.
I mean, just looking at who's sitting down below, everyone's got a hard road to hoe because none of them have any of the spark or promise that the Wolves do as they play.
It's just great to see the newly promoted teams inside the top 10, even if it is, week 8 and, there's still 28 games, 24 games left. It's great to see that. That's what I was trying to say in a very long-winded version.
On the other side of that, Crystal Palace, a little bit worrying here. I believe the stat is they haven't been able to score a goal at home yet.
Yes, and my fantasy team reflects that.
So, yeah. Who do you have? Zaha? That's the only one you should have in your fantasy team if you're... and Van Arnholt, because I have him as well. But, they have not scored a goal yet at home. That's a little worrying. Their away form hasn't been terrible. They won, if you remember, they won 2-0 against Fulham on the opening day. Got beat by Liverpool, Watford, okay, but beat Swansea in a cup and lost to Southampton, beat Huddersfield, so, get a win that you needed to win. Drew to Newcastle, got beat barely by Bournemouth, and then this past week lost to Wolves. So kind of a spotty start so far, but you got to get a goal at home and just break that kind of cloud that's over Selhurst right now, because
otherwise they are in relegation battle.
And the other thing is if you don't get a goal, it starts to weigh on the players' minds, and then it just seems like you can't buy a goal, and it takes longer and longer, and then they hit post, and then they miss a penalty, and then these things start to happen. So you got to get that goal and just get past that little mine hurdle where right now it may not be a big thing because we're only 8 games in, but if you get to week 10, week 12 and you haven't scored a goal at home yet, then that's when it really starts to be on the player's mind. And they're more worried about that than they are their jobs they have to do on the pitch or the game as a whole. So Palace, not the worst of the worst at the current times, but
getting close.
Not the best.
Yeah, they ain't good neither. At all. Next, we move over to a match, Watford at home, Bournemouth away, in a little segment that I like to call, Eddie, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
4 different ways.
4 different ways.
Different goals.
Yep.
As a cherry's popping to 6th here.
Yeah, to get your headline.
6. I think more importantly, they're in 6th
They're
right
in
now.
sixth
They're in
place.
Europe places if the season was to end right now.
Yep.
Our little old Bournemouth.
And putting it to Watford, not a bad team. 4 freaking goals, man. Bournemouth looked fantastic.
Just put Watford to the sword. And Watford did a lot of things to assist the Bournemouth victory, including the sending off of Calabisi, 32nd.
Kabasele?
Yeah.
How do you say his name?
Yeah, I believe I think you said
sorry.
it.
Kabasele?
Yeah.
The Dragon Queen? Isn't that Khaleesi?
That's Khaleesi.
I don't watch Game of Thrones. I don't know these things. It's one nerd thing I don't know.
I feel like you would watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I would. I just don't. I'm cheap and I don't pay for it.
I think I actually watched an episode where the HOPNESS monster was in it.
The HOPNESS monster shows up. I'll start paying for HBO.
Well, if you want my HBO, I'll give you the account stuff. Anyways, I didn't say that HBO. I don't share mine at all.
Wink.
Wink. Nudge, nudge. Yeah, but Bournemouth played very well from the start. They moved the ball well. They got the ball up and down the pitch. They got a lot of speed in the team, and they got a goal early on that 14th minute. It was a lovely play, lovely just counterattacking off of a corner. Ball broke out wide. Beautiful cross back across the goal right in front. Callum Wilson was there where he's pretty much been all year. Had a beautiful shot on goal and lovely save from the goalie, but it just happened to bounce out to Brooks. And Brooks has started his career at Watford just beautifully. And from there, it was just all downhill for Watford. Sending off was a double yellow, absolutely the right calls on both. Josh King, I think Stanislas is their normal penalty kick taker, but I don't believe was in the lineup.
Josh King takes it.
And Josh King takes it and absolutely is just ruthless with it and buries it. But, I mean, can Bournemouth keep this up? I mean, they think
here's the thing. If you're Bournemouth, you're aiming to get to your 40-point safety, staying in the Premier League.
True.
But it will not be long on this path. They will get that point, or that will see very attainable, and it turns into, can we go to Europe?
Right. And it's 8 games in, and they are on 16 points. They are almost halfway to safety, and it's only a little less than a third of the season.
Well, and you'd even said earlier, looking at Chelsea's run, that one of the harder games you thought they had to face was Bournemouth.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
That's true.
And again, it's can they keep the consistency? I don't think the international break has come at a good time for them. They don't usually have a whole lot of players that go out on international duty, and I'm sure they want to just continue to play.
Yeah, but you got a lot of other clubs, though, in the Premier League that have been playing a lot.
Oh,
so
yes.
this actually might, I mean, it could help them. Yeah.
And I think the goal is still, regardless, is 40 points.
I believe they have Leicester next week.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now for their next match?
I think that's about right.
That's a total doable game for them.
Mm-hmm. And then the flip side of that, I know I'm not really going to talk about them too much on this pod, but Leicester could sure use that win as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's good. It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
Fun match to watch.
But Bournemouth, man, they're a blast. They're a blast to watch right now.
That they are.
At this rate, they keep going. Eddie Howe will not be there, but for another season or two.
They're also +4 on goal differential.
All from that game.
Right. And they are one of only 9 teams to have a positive goal differential. So they're actually in the minority on that.
Look, if you're sitting there 8 games in and you're little Bournemouth and you go, we are at 6 with a +4 goal differential and Man United is at 8 with -1. You got to feel pretty good about your stadium that holds 13,000 people, whatever.
Yep.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's impressive.
Look, the same thing with the Wolves, are only, which we just mentioned, only one. They're in 7th, and they're still.
They're 15 points and 3 goal difference. Yeah.
Stats way better than Manchester United in that respect, and that's got to be great for all those teams above them.
And I think Bournemouth can contribute a lot of that to their defense at the current time, but they also made a very good signing in the offseason who's helped to protect that back four. And I'm trying to find his first name. His last name is Lerma. I can't remember what his Jefferson Lerma sits in that and you know, right in that hole, right in front of the back two, and helps to connect play. I think he's done a fantastic job this year so far, sitting in there with Cook and whatnot. And I think he's really helped Bournemouth and allowed the Callums of the team and Josh Kings and David Brooks and Fraziers to get up the field and use their pace, get the ball out wide, make a very quick counterattack. I think he's been fantastic for them all year.
Well, and if you remember how they got into the Premier League, Eddie Howe came in, took the club over when they were in dire straits, and really pressed attacking ball. Yeah. And then when they got to Premier League, the question was whether they were going to change tactics, and he didn't. Right. He stayed attacking. Mm-hmm. It was dangerous. They skirted near a relegation zone at one point, but like they kept with their attacking and scoring. Actually, was never that much of a problem for them. It was defensively.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, if this kind of move can shore up their defense, I mean, this becomes a club that nobody wants to line up against because it's going to be a hard game.
Yeah, and they're, like Ferris was saying, they build that ball up through the midfield and then get it right to the wings as fast as possible. And if your back two aren't squared away and you don't put pressure on those wings, man, they are going to be putting balls in the box all day. So defenses that aren't quite clicking or coalescing, they're just going to get picked apart by them. And that's pretty evident with the score line against Watford.
Speaking of score lines, let's go hangover out with Fulham as they sit at home to face Arsenal. And boy, they got beat solidly.
Yes, they did.
Arsenal looked like when Arsene Wenger had his team playing the most beautiful, except they also had a defense.
I don't know if I go as far as saying Arsenal has a defense. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think their attacking power has certainly outshined their defense, and that they're always going to score goals or should always score goals, especially when you have Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. But what I think they have is they have more of a midfield this year. And Torreira, who was one of their off-season signings in that midfield, excuse me, has played fantastically. And he's really protecting what is a young/old back line. When you have Holden back there and Mustafi, or I should say young and slow. Because Mustafi and Socrates back there aren't the best. Holding is still young, but what Torreira and Xhaka are doing in the midfield is a lot like what we talked about with Bournemouth. Is they're protecting that back four, they're connecting play, and they're allowing the Lacazettes, Welbecks, and Mkhitaryan's really get up the field and get creative and put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah. Also, another kind of breakout player for your midfield over at Arsenal is Alex Iwobi.
Yeah, he's finally starting to have the play that I think Arsene thought he was going to have, or the kind of form that he thought he was going to have.
They are who we thought they were.
I don't know that reference.
You don't know that reference?
It's the football.
Yeah, it's a football.
American football.
Denny Green or whatever.
They are who we thought they were.
He was getting questioned on a post game and said all that. So this game for Arsenal was by and large pretty easy.
No Petr Cech. I think that's a big deal too.
Yes,
I think Bernd Leno. I think he should be the starter, and I think Petr Cech should be their number 2.
I think that's probably how you can see it go from now on.
Yeah, or he's going to split them off into.
Like Petr Cech be like your FA Cup,
right?
The Europa. Yeah. Speaking of, they had a good win in the Europa League too. Prior.
Lacazette scores 2. Aaron Ramsey. Which one in the back of the
Aaron
net?
Ramsey has one of the best scored team goals I
Yeah.
have ever
That's
seen.
exactly what I was going to say.
That was awesome.
Beautiful, built from the back. I had just happened to wake up. Didn't even feel like getting out of bed, so just turned on my tablet and happened to turn on right as he was coming onto the field, and he scored what, like 40
Minutes,
seconds.
yeah,
You're
if even.
coming onto the field on this. I mean, beautiful team play.
Just connect. Was it 5 passes? It was, or 5 people, but it just ding, 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 all the way down.
Yeah, and a bunch of really clever flicks too. So it wasn't like they were just very linear passes. They were a lot of these like backheel flips and flick, and it was one touch just right up the field. And even for his goal, he backheeled the ball into the net. He kind of made this near post run, and with his left foot just backheel. It was beautiful. It was probably the best team goal I've seen in a long time.
Ramsey's the guy who
from any team
didn't accept his contract. He wanted more money. And the team said no.
Right.
But he still, so there's been a big question about him and whether they play him or let him go, or from the fans, I should say. But that was amazing.
I think you could see the two clubs work something out. I think you could see him sign
If he continues to play like this.
Yeah, and if not, he'll be gone in January, because I think at the end of the year his contract's up and he can walk for free. So I think he's a player that you want to keep on.
And if Arsenal continues on this form, maybe he doesn't want to go. Guys, this is the 9th game in a row Arsenal has won.
Wow.
9th game. It is currently one of their better streaks they've ever had. And of course, that includes wins from the Europa League as well as the Caballero Chupacabra Cup.
I love it. Favorite cup out there.
But that's a big deal 1 year after Wenger finally out, or season after Wenger finally out, and you have a new manager, 9 wins in a row.
I'm going to throw a little bit of shade on that, but then I'm going to come back with a compliment here. Now,
We call that a turd sandwich.
you have
I'm going to compliment you, and then I'm going to give you something to work on. And then I'm going to say, that's a nice shirt.
you have to say it in your North Carolina pot of neck throat accent, though.
Yeah. No, it's your pot of neck bone. It's on like a pot of neck bone. It's on like Donkey Kong and a pot of neck bone.
There it is.
Boom.
But the run of games for Arsenal have not been particularly great in terms of the teams that they've played. Good luck pronouncing the team they played in Europa League
over in
this past
Uzbekistan, or I know Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
They won that 3-0. They beat Watford 2-0, which Watford in the first 4 games were great. Now they're on the downturn. The Caribou Cup, they Brentford or somebody. Everton was a pretty solid win. Another good win in Europa League. They played Newcastle, Cardiff, West Ham, lost to Chelsea, lost to Man City. So not the best run of games. However, one thing that I will say, though, is these were games last year that they should have won, but would have lost. In years past.
Or come from behind draw.
Correct. And now they're winning them 3-0s. 4-1s, you know.
5-1.
I think that's different. This is going right now. They are shaping up to have a 3-year ago Liverpool season, where they will, because they don't have much of a defense, but they can score really well. They can still maybe hold on to somewhere in that top 4 by beating everyone except the top 4 or 5.
Right.
You know, like that's who they
Who
just.
was that last year?
Where Liverpool just didn't have the defense. Remember, like they just couldn't. Now, 2 years ago, Liverpool beat everybody in the top. They had like the best record against the top 6.
Right.
But the year prior, they had no problem scoring. They just could not keep anybody else out of there. I feel like they ended that season, I don't know, 4 top 6 easily. So I think that's where Arsenal's at. If you can come in with a brand new coach, you have a 9-game winning streak, because his main thing was a culture of winning that he wanted to. And that's the difference between last year. These Fulham matches, these Watford matches, they would have been draws. They would have been losses. Or, you know, we start the game against Fulham slacking and win, but you win like 3-4. Well, why'd you ever get there in the first place? You know?
Yeah.
And even the goal that even the one goal Fulham scored wasn't one of those like, oh my God, there they go again. It was just, you know, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was slightly, because that goal did tie it up at the time, but the second half, it was just all Arsenal. And I think a stat that I noticed from this was the shots on goal. So when you first look at the stats, you're like, oh my gosh, how did Arsenal win this? Fulham had 21 shots, 4 on goal, opposed to Arsenal's 9 and 7. However, that 9 and 7, they're more on goal. Plus, you have Lacazette shooting the ball. You have Aubameyang shooting the ball. You know, you have strikers that are now precise and deadly, and they're going to make teams like Fulham pay with just 7 shots. You know, 9 of which they have, 7 of which are on goal. They put 5 past.
Yeah, that's a great accuracy.
Right.
I think from an attacking standpoint, what's very promising is your scoring leaders for the season so far are Lacazette and Aubameyang, which you have to absolutely love that. But look at the stack of assists in this game against Fulham. Monreal, Welbeck, Aubameyang, Bellerin, Ramsey. So many people are getting involved in the attack, and they're spreading the ball out so well. This is a brilliant sign for the Arsenal attack going into a tough time of the year coming up here, right in the holidays, that so many people are involved, making such good plays and passing the ball around so well.
And I know there was a lot of, when it came to the manager situation, when it came to Arsenal getting a new manager, looking for a new manager, there was this concern because they said they wanted to manage getting the players. They wanted to have a coach that would just manage the team that they gave them.
Sounds like Orlando City.
And but there was talk that some folks didn't like that, so that's why they didn't say yes to Arsenal. But maybe the Arsenal board was on to something, because maybe Arsene at this point in his career would be a great technical manager who would build your team, but shouldn't be the guy on the sideline
managing,
bringing them together. Because
Yeah.
Emery has pulled together a lot of pieces that Arsene Wenger brought to this club, obviously, and is getting a lot more out of them. And in a way that looks under Arsene for the 2 previous years, there'd be flashes of like, oh my God, that's brilliant. And then just disaster. So maybe this actually was the answer, was they want a coach like, don't worry about this. Just worry about these guys right here, right now. Bring this together, make a culture of winning.
I agree. I think also some of us
Might not work all the time, but
right. But that mentality helps big time, and also the mentality of change. I think just ignites something new and fresh, and gives a little bit of drive there to the team. I think the other thing they wanted was consistency. Right now, Arsenal is they're getting consistent wins. It's not patches of times they'll be good or patches of times. You know, the Arsenal thing was they would always start off good in the season, then dip in that October, November, December, January range, and then kind of go back up kind of when it was too late and they were already out of the title shot.
They needed miracles to happen,
right,
to help them get
so
it.
If the consistency can stay there, and I think November 3rd will be kind of the tell sign for Arsenal. That is when Arsenal host Liverpool. They get a result out of that. I think Arsenal fans can get real excited for what's
For me,
to come.
the result of that is like a 2-2 draw. I think that's the only way to get. I don't know.
You might be selling yourself a little short.
Maybe for the win, but they're not keeping anybody out of there. There's no clean sheet in this situation, is what I mean. Like they're going to have to score. I mean, duh. But I mean, they're going to have to put a few in to beat Liverpool. But if you told any Arsenal fan, look, here's the 4 different managers you can pick you want for next year. But if you pick Unai Emery, I guarantee you that on the 8th week, you're 18 points and you are 4th in the Premier League. Everybody said, I'll take that. Based on what's been happening in the previous year, I'll take that. I'm 2 points away from top place. Okay, I'll take that. I don't think anybody, I didn't anticipate. I said I went to this year, as a lot of Arsenal fans I know, saying, well, this is fun because now there is no expectation. It's something different. So let's see what different is. This is awesome. And way more fun to watch them play.
Heck yeah.
Oh, without question.
It's nice to come on the TV and go, oh, God, I wonder what team's going to show up today. Also, those new guys that just seem to get a pass under Arson, or not new guys, the vets that got a pass under Arson, there's very much you don't get a guaranteed spot to start. That's not happening under this club.
Yeah, you have to produce or you sit.
And some people thought he wasn't resting folks like he ought to. But then Aubameyang got a tweaked back. That's why he didn't start the game in Azerbaijan.
But he's also not afraid to play Aubameyang and Lacazette together. Yeah. I know he hasn't started a whole lot. But
that was also because of the Europa Cup. He had tweaked his back. So that's why he didn't start. In fact, I was actually surprised to see Aubameyang come into the game. I didn't think he was going to. But yeah.
We got a pretty good headline there.
Dynamic duo doubles down the Cottagers. Sorry, it was too far away. I couldn't read it. That is a pretty good headline.
Thank you. I'll take it.
That brings us to...
I don't know how you guys are doing, but I'm going to finish my beer pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, close. No, this is... I'm speaking of down in the... This is fantastic.
That brings us to probably the most anticipated match of the week.
Probably one of the most boring matches.
Too bad it wasn't fun to watch.
Liverpool versus Manchester City.
Do you think both clubs just showed up thinking, I'll take a point?
I think
they both fell back a bit.
No, I don't think they showed up to just get a point. I think, God, what's the manager for Man City?
Guardiola.
Thank you. Pep Guardiola. He hasn't had the best luck playing Liverpool. So
Klopp too.
Primarily Klopp. And Klopp as well.
Time also in the
in Bundesliga.
So I think Man City gave Liverpool a lot of respect in this match. They didn't put a ton of pressure on, and they didn't do. They weren't as ruthless because they have been burned time and time again by Liverpool's quick counterattack when Man City is playing ruthlessly. So Man City, I feel like, kind of just, it's not that they held back. They just wanted to, I don't know, see what Liverpool was going to bring them and then play a little more reactionary style of football. And the problem is that Liverpool came out the same way. They weren't bright right off the front foot from the first whistle. So I think they both came out playing a cautious game, but not trying to settle for the draw.
And Liverpool still kind of got a Salah problem right now. He is great. For whatever reason, as you said, the goals don't come sometimes, and he's not as dangerous right now as he has been. Also, the big question floating around was two things about Mahrez. Why did he start? And two, why did he get that penalty kick?
Yes. But I want to back it up real fast and kind of tag on to what Ron was saying. I also think both teams' defenses are better than probably what people thought. Everybody is always.
I do think we saw the two best defenses in the league.
Yeah, I could see that.
Chelsea, close right under there. I think
Chelsea's defense is quite good. And actually, when Tottenham's defense is healthy, Tottenham's defense for me is quite good.
So what you're telling me is they'll never be quite good.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys smell that? You feel that? World feels a whole lot better because Arsenal is sitting above Tottenham. We didn't mention that, but the world does feel right again.
There he is.
There it goes. Well, I knew. I was like, "What's wrong? Why?" Oh, that's what feels better.
Planets are in alignment.
But I do think both defenses are a lot better than what people thought. All you hear about is the attacking from Liverpool and Man City and the attacking talent that they have. And part of that is, they have depth also.
We said that the last 2 years. Gosh, if they just got the right defensive player to come in, they'd be unstoppable because they could score all day long.
Right. And Van Dijk has certainly helped Liverpool out a great deal. He is their talisman at the back, good with the ball at his feet, very well positioned, plays the ball very well out of the air, is tough. Usually he's been sitting beside Gomez, but Gomez was pushed out to the right in this game, and Dejan Lovren was in there for the first time this year, backing him. And Dejan Lovren actually had a very good game. He's usually been inconsistent, and if you remember his some of his games last year, I believe Champions League final comes to mind on one of those games as well. He has patches to where he's very good and patches to where he kind of dips off. In this game, he was very good. When you had to stop the likes of Aguero and Jesus and Mahrez and Silva's coming at you, he held his own very well, and him and Van Dijk did well. Van Dijk later in the game did give up a penalty to where you were going with this.
Riyad Mahrez.
But did you see how it played out, though? Mahrez wasn't going to be the penalty kicker from the point of view of the players on the pitch.
Right.
Correct. Well, their normal penalty kick taker went off about 10 minutes earlier. Aguero's usually their number one penalty kick taker. He got subbed off about 10-ish before this. So then who was number two?
Who grabbed the ball first? It's who grabbed
Gabriel
the ball.
Jesus is usually number.
Yeah, and he had the ball.
Would be number two in this. He had the ball, and then I don't know who it was. Somebody on Man City
went to the sideline, right?
Yeah, went to the sideline. Was it Silva? Oh God, who was it?
But they came back on.
Yeah, somebody went off to the sideline, came back on, and basically said, "No." Manager says Mahrez is going to take it.
And Mahrez, before he took the kick, the commentators even said, he has missed a few of these.
Mm-hmm.
And he has.
Yeah.
And in this game, I'm all for hey man, it's time to get your confidence going again. Here's the
I think you're hitting it right on the head.
But I think this is a bad time to make that call, because you win this game. You don't put a stamp on this season. Whoever wins it, right? Whether it's Man City or Liverpool. Ah, man, I
think Pep put him in the spotlight so he could take that, get some confidence. You don't know what they're working on the training grounds.
Well, I can tell you he lost a pep in his step.
And Pep said that on the training grounds, Mahrez has looked great from the penalty spot and has buried all of them.
Yeah.
And I think I was listening to BBC 5 Live or some show, and
such an Anglophile.
and they were saying, actually, in this particular case, it seems odd, but the statistics backed Mahrez taking it. While his statistics have not been that good, and he's missed like 3 or 4 out of his last 8 or something, like, or the rest of the Man City team has actually been worse.
Right.
But still, a very interesting call on how it all went down. Of Gabriel Jesus is taking the ball, you expect him to take it, and then kind of the call from the bullpen comes in, and Mahrez steps up.
So now the question is, if you're Gabriel de Jesus, are you pissed off that you didn't get to take it because you probably would have buried it? And now, how do you, as a manager, how do you pick Mahrez up out of the confidence basement? Because Mahrez has not been producing that much for Man City since he's come in. He's had some bright moments, but Mahrez has been largely a disappointment. I mean, not from what they expected him to be doing.
I don't see this blowing up too much. I say that because Pep came out and said that he apologized to Jesus, both in the locker room and out in the media. And then from the Mahrez side of things, I think if you're Mahrez, you have to think on some degree that your move to Man City, you're going in with superstars. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to need another beer.
Yeah, we are. You're going in with superstars. So I think from a managerial side, how you keep that confidence, or how you kind of boost that back up, is you continue to play Mahrez. I think the worst thing at this point would be to sit him on the bench for a run of games. Continue to play him, whether it's Champions League, whether it's Cup games, Premier League games, even if he ends up hopping in, you just continue to play him. And I think that confidence will come back. With how Man City plays, they don't lose a whole lot.
Read your headline on that note then?
Oh, sure.
Mahrez's penalty rockets off into the international break.
Yep.
In orbit.
He pulled a Carlos Rivas.
man.
But it would be one thing if Man City was Man United, which is the team we're talking about next, and you're kind of struggling to get wins at the moment and not playing really expansive, fun style of ball. Then you can see Mahrez's morale kind of go down and whatnot. But when your team is as good as they are and they play a very fun style, Pep always makes subs, and you're in 4 different competitions. I think it's going to be easy for Pep to keep up his morale there.
I think the only thing that, yes, Manchester City is sitting at the top right now at 20 points with a plus 18 goal differential. By no means are they, terrible or in any danger of coming out of the...
They're not the 100-point team of last year.
But so that's where I'm going.
Or actually, is it fair to say that? Maybe they are, but the teams below them are a step up.
I don't. I think what they're really missing is Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, yes.
Was he on the bench in this one? I know there was talk that he might have been on the bench. I don't think he actually
Because he hasn't, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't been.
Yeah, that injury, brutal.
Yeah,
you bring up a good point.
I think he was supposed to come back in November, which are getting close, and I think the signs of it after the international break will help.
This is why Liverpool should have cut it on harder to get the win. Do it now while that guy's not at the club. This is your chance. And we said that when he got hurt. It was like, well, Liverpool, here's your shot. Yeah. Try to, put some distance between the two of you. Because the chances of them dropping a lot of points aren't many. When you got a shot to go for it, man, I feel like Liverpool could have cut it up. We don't usually do stats, but Ferris did the stats for the Arsenal-Fulham match. And I want to bring these up. So I think, 0-0, obviously Liverpool, Man City. Possession 49% to 50.5. Or 49.5, 50.5 between the two. Liverpool, 2 shots on target, 7 shots total. Man City, 2 shots on target, 6 shots on total. That's where it just doesn't feel like they were even trying to get 3 points. It just felt like they were trying to get a point.
It's pretty even teams. I mean, they're essentially 1 and 2, now 3 just because of goal difference in the league. And I think clearly they've been the 2 best teams all year. City had a chance to win this game.
Well, you say that. We're not really going into their match, I know, but the other club is Chelsea, who has quietly been awesome.
That's true.
With a new manager, playing great, and just consistent, no losses. And, of course, they have 20 points as well.
Grinding football. They are just grinding teams down. They're finding ways of breaking them down.
And a slip by Man City and Liverpool, Chelsea walks away with another championship. Because they look so consistent.
Yep. And Eden Hazard is the current scoring leader
until he leaves in January for Real Madrid. Yeah. Did you see that?
We'll see.
Well, I think if he feels there's a championship going on, maybe he won't. If he's in the run.
Yeah, he came out and said, I've always wanted to go there.
And smart move.
I still have a desire, yeah. It's kind of like poke Real Madrid. You come in with enough cash.
Guys, let's win a championship this year so I can go do this.
Right.
Let's do this.
No one's in any danger. It's like he has nothing to prove anymore.
No.
After his World Cup run, his years at Chelsea, he's got nothing to prove.
No.
He is one of the...
Let that man wear a Real Madrid jersey one day.
No, not yet.
Thibaut Courtois already is, so hey, might as well let him follow.
But yeah, Chelsea, scarily consistent.
Yeah.
They look good.
I noticed that
the manager looks like Bill Belichick of the Premier League.
He totally does.
He looks like such a slop on the sideline.
He's totally Bill Belichick.
America.
And then what was Arlo White saying? That he has to wear he has to chew some nicotine gum until he gets into half and can get a smoke or something. Because all he wants to do is he just wears his PJs essentially and wants to smoke heater after heater on the sideline.
Just made me snort.
The only thing he's missing, I picture him getting out of bed like Wee Willie Winky. Do you remember that story when you were kids? The guy in all the books I ever had of that story, he had the stocking cap, and I picture getting
with a little
candle on the lantern,
freaking Ebenezer Scrooge, the coach,
and he's got a little Chelsea hat on and his little Chelsea PJs, and that's how he shows up to Stamford Bridge.
And every morning he has some coffee, but already has a flask of scotch that he just pours into his coffee every morning.
Everybody's like, how long when do we get rid of this guy? He said, we keep winning.
Yeah, he's great.
His little blue furry slippers.
When you saw him 1-2 matches in, you're like, this guy's never going to. It's great. We just won, but this guy's not going to stay. It just didn't feel
right.
And then when you come from José Mourinho, Suave Conte.
Yeah.
And then this is skinny Steve Bruce. Like he's just like
Skinny Steve Bruce. Italian skinny Steve Bruce.
who also just lost. He just lost his job, I do believe.
Did he?
Yeah, I think Steve Bruce. But it's what he looks such a. He is Bill Belichick.
He is everybody's Italian grandfather. Is exactly
Like,
what it looks
excuse
like.
me, sir. You got to hop out of the stadium. We can't have the homeless here. Oh, wait a minute. That's actually the manager.
That's our manager.
This brings us to our final match we were going to talk about. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. At home, Manchester United is visited by Newcastle, and Manchester United plays the worst football for 45 minutes. I think they've
Hold on.
For 65 minutes.
Back it up a little bit, though.
since Alex Ferguson, worst football since Alex.
You
Ferguson
have to set
for
the
45
scene,
minutes.
though. There was so much talk of Jose, regardless of the result, being fired. There was so many headlines. So like Friday day.
And the two Robbies actually brought up a really good point, because I don't know that British reporter, but they were saying the guy that broke that story is a very well-respected English journalist.
Daily Mail or something, right?
Yeah, and they said there is no way he drops this without actual
Without knowing it.
Which means, though, it puts the team in a position where we don't know if they'd have fired him or not, because I think they couldn't once that news broke.
Yeah, and they immediately came out and said we're in support of Jose.
On Saturday morning they did. And I thought that was, and I think I told you guys, and I also told
that never ends well.
Phil at work, I said, that's usually like the dreaded vote of confidence from the board is, oh no, he's our manager, we're sticking with him. And then 2 days later, I mean, there's been a pattern of that over the years in the Premier League.
If the game had ended 2-0, he still might have.
I thought he was even going to come out after half. I mean, it was looking rough.
Because it wasn't just that they scored within the first 10 minutes 2 goals. Newcastle, Manchester United just looked
shambolic. The defense looked
confused. They all looked confused.
I don't know if the defense looked confused as much as they were just bad, because the back line was actually a back line that you would expect United to start. Shaw, Young, Bailly, Smalling. That's okay. There's not a McTominay anywhere in there. There's not a who did he play back there before that? Herrera, or he played somebody else. That was actually a back four that you thought, okay, it's a back four Man United should start. But they looked, I mean, probably a little bit confused. They looked bad. And Bailly, his positioning was just all wrong. And you saw that with a really, really early change. After those 2 goals went in, Bailly was subbed off, and they brought somebody on the field that would eventually change the game. So the Ewok man himself.
Yeah, and Mato was instrumental, because his goal in the 70th, it definitely had the feeling of when it went in and the way the team was playing at that moment. I was like, holy crap, they're going to blow this and it's going to be a draw. Newcastle's going to blow this and it's going to be a draw. And of course, it turns into a Manchester United victory. So, which was exciting in the moment if you're a Man U fan. But Ferris, when the whistle blows and it's over, though, how do you feel like 5 minutes later?
I mean, I think I've said on this pod and not on this pod and on our cruise that Ron and I were on, and I'm a Jose supporter. I always try to be a glass half full kind of guy. So I think we give Jose the time to try to get out of this. I'm not going to lie if I would say that my head wasn't turned by the Zidane talks and so some possible other things occurring that would make us play a little bit more expansive, a little bit more exciting, but. I feel good coming after this, because I think the international break for us comes at a completely good time. And had we gone into the international break with a 2-0 loss or a loss in general, it would be a rough 2 weeks. This brings a little bit of hope, and the changes that Mourinho made, he brought on Mata for Bailly. He then brought on was it Rashford? It was Fellaini for McTominay, and then Sanchez for Ashford. All of those were good subs and all changed the course of the game. And I think what United did coming out of half and coming back, and yes, it was only against Newcastle, but coming from 2 goals down, which they haven't done in ages. I think it's like 1998 or something. To get a win out of that, I think can now go one of two ways. It can either galvanize the team, bring that hope and that passion back to United as you drink your beer so smug over there, you little son of a. It can either galvanize the team and kind of kickstart the season, or it can not change a damn thing, and we lose coming out of the gate to Chelsea, and then we lose the next match against Juventus, and then we lose again, and then the talk could just roar back up again, and then it's still same old.
Blake's theory.
I like to think positive. I think it's going to galvanize a team. I think we're going to kick on. Hopefully, Mourinho sees that the Juan Matas of the world, the Sanchez's of the world, can change games, can be more creative, can score awesome goals, and he keeps going. And maybe he sees that, hey, we have really good players here. How do we just get them to click and play?
No, glass half full is always the way to go.
Yeah.
Because nothing screams glory like scrambling back from winning against a team that's almost guaranteed to be relegated this year when your name is Manchester United.
But I've got a theory.
Everything is situated.
Here's my theory for you, though. Here's what sucks for Man United this year. 2 words. A truncated version. 2 words. Arsene Wenger.
We're not getting Wenger.
No.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. That's hysterical. I would drop it as a joke. No, that's your situation. What I mean by that is,
speaking of which, hold on. This is a completely random tangent. So I was at work the other day, and somebody goes, "The situation just went to jail." I was like, "What?"
Oh, from wrestling?
No, from what was the stupid ass
Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore.
Oh.
The situation just went to jail for like income tax evasion or something.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Yeah, real shocked on that one.
Sorry. The reason I say tangent. 2 words, Arsene Wenger, in a truncated version, you crawl back and win this game 3-2. Jose keeps his job. There's a couple of like draws, another win, and then a slump. Let's get rid of him. Then there's the next game, though, you pull something off, and this teeters the whole year.
Sure. Right.
And it's like a miniature Arsene Wenger situation.
That's been Jose's career.
Yeah,
at the last year of his employment at each team.
Yeah, but this time, although that happened in Chelsea, they ended way down on the table. I was gonna say, but this is different because Man U's at 8. But you're right. That year they were at 13th or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening easily, because here's the other thing. Here's where I'm with you, but I'm a little with what the 2 Robbies actually talked about. My glass half empty on this is his post-match interview when they talk about the pressure and so. And he's like, oh, I can handle it. I'm mature, I'm 50 something years old, been doing this for a while. I mean, young kids like Martial and stuff, they can't handle it, but I can. And you're like, what? Why
he keeps trouncing his players
doing that? Why are you the younger guys? Like, and it's always, as we understood it, the locker room would always get lost in his previous years at other clubs. The players, he'd lose the players, but especially those young players. I just don't get why I know it's always kind of funny at the post match. How is he going to deflect, or what's he going to say, but I just don't get trouncing on the young players. You didn't need to say anything negative. You know what I'm saying? Those players obviously didn't do anything bad in that game. I don't know.
He could have just said, I'm old enough. I've been around the block. I can take the pressure. Next question.
But he had to tag in the bit about the young players not being able to handle
also considering.
And so then you just come back from a win that you're like, yeah, oh my God, we did it. And then that's what your manager goes and says about you.
Right. And the fact that Martial took a great 1-2 from Pogba and cool, calm, collect, put that ball in the back of the net to tie it up.
I don't think he said anything about Martial. I think it was Rashford.
Oh, you're right. It was Rashford he was talking about.
Who had a shocker of a game. He missed some big chances.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I didn't have too much of a problem with Jose's.
But your point about Mahrez earlier,
conference.
Keep playing Mahrez, boost his confidence up. This is the reverse that José Mourinho is doing. Let me. This kid just played a bad game. Let me trash on him at the post conference. Why?
Okay. I get that, but I also think what you get from Jose, and you're kind of expecting some of the comments, and I don't have a problem with it so much.
If you're the owner,
if,
yes. I think if you're the players,
I think if you're the players, as long as he's telling you that in the locker room as well as in the press, I don't think there's a whole lot you can really argue about it. You may not like the tactic a whole lot, but at least he's telling you. If he was telling you one thing we don't know this for any sort of fact, but if he was telling you one thing in the locker room and then coming out and saying something completely opposite in the media, I think that's where it's more damning than it is anything.
I don't know. I think in the locker room he says, "Hey man, you can't let that get to you." You go, "Okay, thanks, coach." And then he goes on national TV and says,
"Well,"
you're like, "Oh,
and
thanks,
that's what we
dude."
don't know, because what he called out was McTominay and Rashford, and both I think were fair to call out, and both got subbed off. So he's kind of saying what everybody else is probably thinking.
Yeah, but everybody was thinking Mahrez was a bad choice to take the penalty kick, but Pep Guardiola didn't go out and say, "Yeah, you know what? He's been playing bad." I shouldn't
to be
have
honest with you, at the time I'm watching the game, well, I'm going back to that game, I didn't think Mahrez wasn't necessarily a bad
You were one of the few,
person.
though.
Well, but Mahrez also took some of a majority of the penalties at his previous club. So
Yeah, but
with Aguero not on the bench, it made sense to me for him to take it.
I'm talking about you don't have that coach going in, though, and then trashing him afterwards. But you got Rashford, who's young, and you're trashing him on national TV.
Pep did it in a way that was basically he trashed Mahrez in the post game, saying, "Oh, here's why he did it. I had to go and apologize to Gabriel Jesus." That's pretty much saying I should have gone with that guy over you. So I mean, in a way, it's
hold on. Go back.
Different.
That's not accurate. Yes, it is saying he didn't do as well as I thought he would. That's not what José Mourinho does. José Mourinho,
that bus he likes to park, he put it in reverse.
José Mourinho is very tactless when he does things like that. The equivalent is your boss telling you really screwed up, and then going into a boardroom of all these high executives and going, "Oh yeah, this guy completely up." If you want to keep a good team and you want the players to solidify and coalesce around you, you don't do that. You go in there and say, "It was premature of me to do that," which is not trashing him. It's just saying you're not ready yet. But going to have him go out and say, "This guy can't handle pressure and he's terrible."
Yeah, because actually the way Jose could have handled it in Jose fashion would have been like, "Yeah, I hope the press is happy. You guys screw some of my players' heads. Good job. We still won." That would have been an awesome Jose thing to say, but still put it to the press for what? Because the guy that dropped that bombshell turned out to not be true, though he may have actually influenced that by dropping the bombshell, has been denied his press pass at Manchester United now.
I think Jose just doesn't do it in a... He can be right, and God knows he has been. He just doesn't do it in a way to anyone that, at least on the outward side, that is in any way constructive. He's always going for the snake bite. And that's the thing that, in my opinion...
Some guys respond to it, but I think it's why
I think it alienates more players than it helps.
Again, you may not like the tactic, but...
It works for 3 years, and that's it.
I mean...
That's the thing.
I believed the players played for him in the second half.
I don't. I think they played for themselves.
I think they played for the fans.
Okay, but if you wanted your coach out, your manager out, you wouldn't have played that way.
I think there's too many pros on that team to do that. I think.
Okay, so where have these pros been for the last 10 games?
Because they're at home. I don't see them.
I mean, so
they're not going to sabotage. You're saying players are going to sabotage a game?
Well, Chelsea
possibly.
did it. Chelsea did it to him.
I mean, do I think they played only for him? No, but I think he influenced that. He influenced that by positive
Chelsea didn't do it by
changes.
game 8, though. Give him like game 15.
Well, Chelsea did it that entire year because it was downhill the entire year for that.
No one to play for that guy. But I'm saying we've seen it before.
Again, we all know that.
I think those kind of comments, though, but that's I think you're seeing those kind of comments are indicative that this is going to be a thing.
If you're his, I mean, I don't know. If you're his players, you kind of expect for him to say these things, and you don't really pay much mind to it out in the press because, again, one of his other tactics is let's take it away from the team and put it all on me. So now we're talking about his conference afterwards, opposed to the players in the locker room. regardless win or lose, he always tries to do that, and that's why we have so many
complaint.
But that's why we have so many.
But when teams are winning, a lot of the complaints pundits have in his post conferences, it becomes about him and not about the team that just won.
Well, at least he's consistent.
And I think,
good or bad, he makes it about him and takes it away from the team to some extent.
only when he doesn't trash a player to do it. He's had plenty of press conferences where he says something ridiculous. He recants the penalty score line or the penalty times, all these things he does. And in some of his best post-game matches post-game pressers didn't mention other players. This one, he singled this guy out. That's no matter.
Actually.
Huh?
2, actually.
Okay, right. But
Yeah.
so the point
It
is,
was Rashford and someone.
McTominay.
Yeah.
this doesn't give them the warm feeling, even if he goes back and goes, hey, I was just kidding, or I do think you didn't have that great a game. No one likes having their face shoved in their failures. No one does.
I also think, and this is where the cynical side of things and the glass half empty guy comes out. I also think this could be a very calculated move by Jose to push the board. Because what did we hear before he came in? He doesn't play the young players.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring them up. Rashford and McTominay are both young players who were brought up with Manchester United. He had to put on Mata and
That's
Sanchez
not the Man United
pros.
way. Man United has cultivated young talent.
Correct. No, absolutely
Yeah.
correct. But that's not the Jose way. And when Jose came on, it was, is he going to do this? Because he didn't do it at Chelsea. He had young players, but they would loan out, and he wouldn't have anything to do with it. He would stick with the Drogbas and the Lampards. So I wonder if this was almost a calculated move to kind of push back on the board and say,
Tell the board to go
right, tell the board to go, yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to play them anymore because look at what they just did. And then, and in some weird way, I think United in general is still
That's
a
actually
mess.
a really good theory. To be honest,
And Jose's that smart that I could totally see him doing that. And that pushes not only.
But he's out of the Premier League, right? Like if he loses this gig, does anyone else snag him? With some people that are out and available,
the Portugal national team is probably where he'd go.
that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
I feel like that's kind of
Well, and like I said, the next run of games are really going to tell if it galvanizes the team or the same mess keeps occurring. Because they have Chelsea coming out of the break. 3 days later, have
that's
Juventus.
a rough game right now.
3 days later, have Juventus. Then have Everton. Then have Bournemouth. Then have Juventus again. Then have Man City.
Now, that is a reality.
That's the next 6 games.
Drawing and losing every one of those games.
Yes. So that's where I say the next 6 games are really going to tell if that glass is half full or if that glass is half empty.
And also,
that's rough.
it's very nerve-wracking if you're any of those teams. Because Manchester could show up firing on all cylinders.
Or will they be ready to roll?
Or they're going to show up and be mediocre at best, which is really dangerous
you
to
cherries.
Hey, listen, if we beat Chelsea, Juventus twice, and Everton, and we lose to the Cherries, I'll be perfectly fine with that. But I mean,
Don't
who
think
knows?
that's going to be the reality.
Blake, do you want to sing the?
So you did that on purpose? You did the clash on purpose?
Yeah, because it's in Stranger Things too. Jose stay or Jose go now. It's a glory to win against a team as bad as Newcastle.
Should I spray the camera with water?
Oh God, we forgot about that. I love Rebecca Lowe. And then just a moment we go into, oh, isn't that nice? Like or whatever she said. And she just sprayed the camera with water. Dude,
That's the Jose that everybody loves, though, right? Like
admit it. When you saw that happen, though, you went, "Holy crap! He is going to be fired after this game." You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know what to think anymore.
It had
I don't
such
know.
he's.
But he did it with kind of a smirk on his face. Like he did it in good fun.
Yeah, but come on,
He's just too charming for antics like that to send it over the edge. He just is.
I just wish that I could have been in Monaco, sitting in a nice bar with a glass of brandy with Arsene Wenger, watching the game at halftime. Like, how you feel, Arsene? Someone put that picture up from Arsene's photo shoot where he's like in the 3-piece suit, the brandy snifter, and they're like Arsene right now at the pub.
So your top 6 right now here in week 8, Manchester United in first position on
City.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, Manchester at the first,
Just kidding. Man City on 20 points. Chelsea in the second spot on 20 points. Liverpool in the third spot on 20 points. Arsenal walking up the table on 18, in fourth place on 18 points.
Over who?
Tottenham.
Say it again.
Hotspurs.
Arsenal over Tottenham at fourth place.
Yep. Tottenham is in fifth on 18, and Bournemouth up with the Cherries in sixth position.
So I don't think anything makes me
16
smile
points.
more than Bournemouth's position right now on the table.
It's awesome.
Eddie Howe, man, that guy's great. Come on, let's see a Leicester run like next year. Come on,
Right?
dude. Like, man.
I'm also happy that the Wolves are so high. I really am.
I also, our teams like Everton that used to be the reliable ones that would kind of float in that Europa area to the top 8. It's gonna be a lot harder to do that.
Everton's starting to pick up steam.
No,
though.
they are. They had a good, but I just mean, look at the top 8 right now. And I know Bournemouth is maybe the anomaly who's playing really well right now, but that's really the Watford, the Leicesters, the Evertons, the guys that I think Burnley has kind of already shifted off this season a little bit. But I think Everton, Leicester, Watford, the Wolves, those teams this year were those that could try and push up into this. That's a hard group to try and get above into the top 6.
Yeah. Also,
that's
teams like West Ham and Southampton punching way below their weight.
It used to be, West Ham used to be part of this group that we talk about with the sort of Everton. That's not what's happening. I mean, I will say from 12th place down, there's a lot of dire going on right now.
Yeah.
Like Burnley, better thank God if they make it out of the season, it is because people below them are just dreadful.
From 12th to 19th place is only 6 points.
Yeah.
That's a huge
I just can't believe
amount of teams battling to stay out of that relegation.
it won't happen. But Arsenal could win a game and be in top. I cannot fathom that after the last 3 years.
Yep.
Where Arsenal's sitting right now. It's a weird place to be an Arsenal fan right now.
It's a good season for that, though.
Because you're just like, do I get excited? History said, don't get excited about that. Except that this is actually seems to be a little more consistent, a little better. It's a real weird space to be an Arsenal fan now. But I will say this, it's a space that if they walk away with a 4th place finish, unlike years previous, there will be some celebrations going on in the red.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was thinking Unai Emery would. That'd be the case. I would also argue then on the same side with Chelsea's new coach.
Yeah.
And no one thought, hey, I hope we win in top 6. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
I don't think the run they're having was predicted.
Nope. I think the top and the bottom of the tables, what's great about this time of year, right before going into the holidays, is there's still so much hope. And you could win one game and jump 6-8 places because how tight all the points are at this point in the season. So,
yeah, you let Arsenal lose the next weekend, but Bournemouth win, they're in 4th place.
yeah.
That's that's awesome. This is a good season. Last year, watching, if you're not a Man City fan, but like they were so good, you couldn't help but go, God, watching them
It was
play
a fight for a second.
is awesome. But even just watching them play, but I'm just going to watch them play. They look fantastic. This is great. This is great for the league. If the top 6 can stay this tight, oh man.
Yeah, it's going to be a photo finish at the end if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. All right, I suppose we should move on, but it really became a Premier League pod. I apologize. So I guess we'll push along fairly.
MLS.
We are primarily a Premier League pod, if we're being honest.
Sure, but we are coming close to the playoffs. So usually we throw a little more attention to MLS. So we'll do a little MLS. I'm gonna need another beer because I'm pounding this thing. It is so good. Jeez.
It is a very good beer.
It's great. All right,
I'm a little behind you guys, but it is darn good.
So going into some MLS then. So just kind of looking at where things are sitting at. As we go to the playoffs, we've got Montreal Impact. The big game was at home against Columbus Crew. Woof. And the Impact get the result they need to make sure they stay in the playoff hunt, winning 3-0 over Columbus.
And they needed this. They picked themselves
Huge.
off because the week before this, which we didn't do a pod last week.
This is the team DC United needs to leap.
Well, DC United beat them last week 5-0. So they really needed to pick themselves up in this game. And
Ferris, do you think DC United will end up in the playoffs?
yeah, 100%.
How strongly
100%.
do you believe
Go ahead. Toss it out there.
Amazing.
Toss it out there.
And I don't know. I don't feel like it's a Butternut Brewery bet worthy thing just yet.
Okay.
There's one that's going to be floating around somewhere. I can't wait till Ron is so passionate about something and he just says yes because he's so passionate about the thing. Like waiting for that one.
No, mine won't be about Butternuts Brewing.
No, it'll be something that you're like, this has happened. No, it won't. Yes, it will, Butternut. You bet. Like it's got to be something like that.
It won't be. It'll be more like me chugging ghost pepper syrup.
Hey, hold on. We can think of something for this one.
But we will video that if that happens.
This Butternuts Brewing, I've learned from you two idiots not to do that one.
Who are you calling idiot?
Do I need to expound upon that?
I'm a big idiot. I'll be the first one to admit that.
I ran into some other day that they were like, man, that pod was real funny with the that Moo Thunder. And I'm like, I got to tell you the truth. I'd love to look at you and say we were having fun and I was playing it up.
Yeah, that was
really hard to finish that beer. Whew, I can't even,
So I may have...
Try doing that with ice cream and see how it tastes. Go back about 40 episodes, you'll find out.
A new beer that's and not from Butternuts.
Why do you do this? You always bring in the butternut stuff and it just tastes so bad.
Here's how this happens. Apparently I drink a lot more crazy beers than you guys because I find all the interesting ones. So a bunch of friends and I went diving 2 weeks ago, and a friend of mine gave me a beer and was like, try this. I'm not sure about it. And I was like, well, it is a little bit warm, but I'll give it a go. And I got about a third of the way through and just couldn't finish it. So I might have to bring it on the pod to see what you guys think. But I'm not going to tell you what beer it is. I don't want you to be...
I don't want to be prepped. No, you bring it in. Right.
I just want to bring it
in with something else, though.
And see what you guys think. Because
as bad as the Moo Thunder was, still nothing beats that day of pork slap, scrapple beer, and whatever other 3 beer.
And I in my mind, actually, you were out of it. You were like, it was Blake and I. We just kept giving each other looks like we are sloshing through this.
There's one beer that's worse. My buddy, who's a brewmaster at Lancaster Brewing, because he would travel around and get weird stuff. A company that brewed with beets.
Oh, is that gross?
That was the grossest beer I've ever. Blake don't like no beets, and living in Pennsylvania is hard because they love beets.
Things with beer, just like beets,
like that kind of beets?
No, not dropping in fat
not
beets.
Like Dre beets.
Like dropping in nasty beets.
Oh, with beer? God almighty.
Okay, moving on.
Anyways.
As you said, big win. Montreal needed that to stay in the playoff hunt, as well as did DC United needed to win their next match, which they did. DC United against Chicago Fire, 2-1.
Wayne Rooney, 2 goals in this one.
Both very, very key games, and both won the game. So both Montreal Impact and DC United won, and that puts it so tight. It puts Montreal Impact played 32 games, -7 on 43 points. DC United sit in that 7th spot, just below the playoff
30
line.
games.
30 games.
2 games
plus
in hand.
6, 41 points. So that win last week.
That's why I'm not going to take that bet with you, because
that win last week was key, because DC United put 5 away on the Impact. That really opened up that goal difference each way. Also closed that gap down to a single game. And with 2 games in hand for United, who knows?
They can totally do it.
Wayne Rooney has been the difference in United by far.
Agreed.
By far, and has propelled them up the table. And I really hope, for the MLS sake, they get into the playoffs. That'd be awesome for the league.
So is that? I agree. This is one of those questions. I don't want to derail us. I want to keep moving. So if it's something we need to talk further in depth in, but is that that's not right? Like that. What
does that mean?
That you're that bad in one player. That's just. I don't know what that says about the MLS. And I'm not throwing out a judgment or making a decision. I'm saying that's such a strange thing. You know what I mean? Like, to me, so one player.
I think what Wayne Rooney did, and kind of what Zlatan's doing in LA, and what players like this have done in the league, and it hasn't always worked. But what I think it's really done for DC here is they've had talent on that team. We've talked about some of the hidden talent that DC held prior to Wayne Rooney getting there. Paul Areola, Luciana Acosta, Junior Moreno, Yamil Assad. What Wayne Rooney did was he tapped into that. And what I mean by that is he tapped into it on every single way possible. He is this big-time player, England's number one goal scorer, Manchester United's number one goal scorer. His name alone brings confidence, brings a morale boost to the team. And I think that's what he really did, not only for the players on the field, but for the entire club. And it was a very smart move by DC to do it at the time. They were opening up a new stadium. They were bottom of the league. The only way they can go is up. And he tapped into that, and he's delivered. I think you're not getting the same effect if it's Eric Dyer coming over from the Premier League. Yes, a Premier League player. Yes, a guy you probably know. Or we won't even go Dyer. We'll go Danny Welbeck. I don't think he's going to have the same effect.
Lampard.
Yeah, probably one of the ones that didn't help. But I think New York did get in that year that they brought him over. You can go to Gerrard with the Galaxy. You can go and kind of say
Zlatan a much bigger impact.
Zlatan, Thierry Henry, Robbie Keane. Some of these players have really propelled the team. That's what happened here. And again, the only way that DC could go up when they came in.
I would say this is most like
the
Thierry Henry situation as far as coming into the team and really.
I think the other thing that we're selling Rooney a little bit short on is that, well, maybe not selling short, but something we haven't mentioned. In the matches, he is one of the hardest working players. His work rate.
Oh, he makes those young kids look lazy.
And 32 years old.
Also, he's become the leader of that team in a very organic way that everyone trusts him and looks up to him. In a way that he earned it, not in a way that he came in and expected it. So Blake and I really were like, I don't think Rooney's going to have that big of an impact. But
and that was less than Rooney, more about DC was not good.
Fair enough. But I think the thing that Rooney really brought to that team was everyone rallied around him, and he is a phenomenal leader. When he played Orlando City and was the only one to hustle out after that ball and rightly or wrongly made that goal happen.
But if you're a 23-year-old dude who should have been in on that play and you watch what happened, you're like, man, I got to.
You are shitting your pants with how excited you are as a DC United player to have Rooney with such an impeccable work rate. I know I've said it, but he's 32. He could come back here, roll his wheelchair out onto the field and kick a few balls around, but he's working, and he's clearly outworking a big chunk of this team. And that is why I think they're having such a resurgence in the tables.
And I'm going to give a real quick shout out. We won't go too much into it, but I also think the acquisition of the time, who I think he's currently on loan from FC Midtjylland, Bill Hamid, to DC, was also this past year a very good signing for them, and has helped to stabilize a position that they have not been steady in.
Without a doubt.
Sure, but I don't know that he would have such an impact.
No. I'm saying it certainly helped.
It's another piece of the puzzle.
I 100% agree with you that Wayne Rooney is absolutely. It was a fantastic signing. Whether or not it's fantastic signing 2 years, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that's yet to be seen. But what he's done alone, and not just goals. Yeah, he has like 9 goals already this year, but he also has a crap ton of assists.
Right.
So
his leadership skills,
he is working,
his work rate.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the people that was like, what's the point? So he's made a believer out of me for that.
It was, what's the point to DC? That was always it was like,
sure.
I just don't understand. Can't wait till Vardy's ready to complain the MLS.
He's gonna have.
I want to hope he's here. Well,
chips and beers on the plate.
Which one should probably go to Epcot now? Well, we're here in Orlando.
He'll probably play.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be
he'll
amazing?
get kicked out of Magic Kingdom like in a second. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, do that. Please retire at Orlando City and give me some entertainment with Jamie Vardy coming to play at Orlando City.
That'd be brilliant.
Bears on the coach on the planet ship, the spaceship Earth. Y'all, let's go listen to Dame Judi Dench. After the game, we'll go drink up at the pub at the UK.
So that brings us to the Real Salt Lake versus the Portland Timbers.
Portland Timbers needed this win. Big time.
Boy, did they 4-1 over Real Salt Lake.
This puts Portland in 4th place in the West, 51 points. So it was one of those, they just needed it to secure that spot.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was so much for Portland as it really helped the Galaxy.
Yes,
because Salt Lake
but I think it did too.
had dropped down to 6th, and and I think you're right. Portland needed a little bit of something positive as
cushion.
of late. Yeah,
to establish this, to stay in
and
there.
now it's 2 games.
And now Galaxy
from,
and
Sounders.
DC United.
Sounders play tonight.
Let's have a final with Rooney versus Latan. Maybe they can get to playoffs, and there you go.
You could see it.
Look at Ferris just got so
You
excited
could see
right
it.
now.
You very well could see it.
Who would you root for?
I would probably go for DC United. I would like to see an Eastern Conference team.
Say that quietly. He's going to flip flying through the window. Kicking
I
you in the head.
own. Hold on. I own 2 Rooney jerseys opposed to 1 Zlatan jersey.
Yeah,
so
but
I'll go-
you
But
never.
you've only done one candlelit visual.
what I was
very,
gonna
very,
say.
very true.
You've
yeah.
only had one candlelit
But
visual.
it's the Galaxy though. I don't know. Like it's not where DC United. This would be a much better story and a team that's been in the league for since it's been around, and and they're in the Eastern Conference, and I don't know, but I don't. Unlike DC United, I don't know if LA is actually going to make it in or not. They may.
Also,
I don't think they go very
They're
far.
1 point
I
out.
don't think they go very far.
I don't think they go very far because the
only
only
1
person
point
they
out.
have is Zlatan.
If-
He has 20
if
what,
DC
1
United
goals in 25 games, but they have no defense. They
If
have
DC
no
United,
resemblance of a defense.
If DC United managed to get in the playoffs, though, all bets off. I'm not saying they make the whole run, but no one wants to play them
Right.
at their current
Right.
form. This then brings us over to Sporting KC versus the Galaxy, 1-1 draw. Galaxy could have could have really used this win to get them into the playoff bracket, but as you said, Zlatan makes it blackjack, but Galaxy dropped 2 points late.
And I think that's where where you and I, Blake, say that they're not going to go very far because that
If
defense,
they got into playoffs,
right,
yes,
that defense is just not up to the standard where a
No, if they
playoff
play
team
against
should be.
Although 1-1
They
win,
play an FC Dallas, a Sporting KC.
1-1 draw
normally
against
no.
Sporting KC, not a bad result though.
It's a good result, but it feels like a loss because you give up a goal in the 83rd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's where they're, he can score all day long, but that defense is going to just,
I just do not
it's going to
see.
flop very good. Yeah.
Especially against some of the attacking power that's above them that they'll have to
Right. And then on the other side of the town, I believe LAFC just clinched a playoff berth this past week. So
Yeah, 53 points, the Bob Bradley show.
Isn't that crazy? Good for old Bob Bradley.
I know. I always liked him.
I wanted him to do better in the Premier League. I mean, dude was given a pile of turds.
Yeah.
he had that one game. What was it, like 5-4? And
Yeah.
He had one of the more
whatever it was.
entertaining. It was Swansea Crystal Palace.
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it was a goal fest and it was great. He just happened to come out on the losing side of it.
We still got to go to St. Pete, and I wonder if they show the matches since it's championship now. But the Swansea pub with the good,
Oh yeah.
the
the
good curry. Oh, the good goat curry. So good. The vindaloo, mate, it's tasty. And pompadums.
I'll
Hey,
take your word for it.
You know what started pretty recently?
What?
The U.S. women's national team qualifying for the 2019 French World Cup.
Are we still thinking maybe? Well, why not? Let's go to France. I want to go to
Sure.
France.
It'd be awesome.
U.S. in Group A, which of course consists of the U.S., Panama, Mexico, Trinidad, and Tobago. U.S. doing a good start. Real good start.
Very good start.
Yeah, their goal differential is a plus 11.
Which you kind of expected. I mean, the CONCACAF teams are not the greatest.
Sure, but I'll say the ladies are like playing together
Yes.
really well.
Oh,
They
yeah.
look, I mean, out the get go.
Carly Lloyd hat trick against
Last
Panama.
night,
Yeah. 5-0
Yeah, there's
over
winning,
Panama.
and then there's doing that. That's the thing. Yeah,
They beat Mexico in the first game 6-0, a brace by Megan Rapone and Alex Morgan.
Can we get a final between France and
Hold
the
on.
U.S.?
Did you say, who was it? Megan who?
Rapone?
Rapinoe.
Rapinoe. Off.
Christine Rampone.
Christine Rampone. That's who I always think of. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Christine Rampone
and Megan
Rapinoe.
I don't. Yeah.
Christian P.
Actually, I don't speak Spanish. But they're off to a very awesome start, and I'm trying to find the whole qualifying for the CONCACAF gets a little bit confusing because they essentially play a tournament within a tournament. They play a CONCACAF tournament style, and then they advance, and then they go to the World Cup. So they either have to win or play second or third in what this CONCACAF tournament is. So it's not just finishing on top of your group like it is
Right.
In most qualifying things. You just finish the top of your group, then boom, you automatically qualify. I think they then go into a CONCACAF tournament, and then they go to the World Cup, assuming that they make it through the tournament. But as of right now, there's no indication that they won't not only win the group, but that they won't beat whoever's in the next group. And Group B consists of Canada, Cuba, Jamaica, and Costa Rica.
The next Group A match looks like it's October 10, 2 days away, versus Trinidad and Tobago. And that's happening in Wake Med. So that's North
Raleigh,
Carolina.
yep.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's where the first game was, right?
So if you're
Building up that after the Courage's win, building up the soccer love in North Carolina.
Yeah, if you are anywhere close to Raleigh, North Carolina, you should go. Tickets are cheap. See some phenomenal soccer.
World class.
Yeah. Go for
World
it.
class. Get your red, white, and blue on. I hate you, Ferris, because that's now become a thing.
Yeah,
It's in
and
my
also
head.
it gets stuck in my head
Yeah.
all the time. And I'll be in random places going, "Brr, brr, brr, brr."
Yeah. I do when my
Ridiculous.
So
when
obnoxious
my
and
little
stupid,
daughter
I know.
wants she's a fiend for like the garlic pickles from the farmers market we have down the way.
Your wife hates that.
She hates that because my wife hates pickles. But that's always when I crunch the pickle and she looks up, I'm like, you want it? Pickle time. Brr, 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 brr. And I got so mad at myself that I did that without even thinking. I'm like, friggin' Ferris. It's like stuck. It's like
welcome.
stuck it now. Okay. So,
Uh-oh.
Game break.
I don't have anything to say. I was just going to say,
All right.
Pod 101. That feel weird, right? It's like I feel like we started over, even though it's like in the middle of all the seasons and stuff, but it just was to hit 100, then hit 101. Weird. So if you want to follow us and please interact with us and you can find us on Twitter at Brewtiful Game. Find us on Facebook. The easiest thing to go to our website, thebrewtifulgame.com. You can
Untapped.
find us on Untapped, which is the best for
Instagrams.
finding folks and sharing beers on Untapped. Love it, especially when Ron goes traveling around the world and we get all the random cool stuff you can't necessarily find everywhere. Also look us up on, you said the Instagram. I think that kind of covers us for everything.
Yeah, and Eric in New Jersey will be sure to get a koozie out to you here soon.
Oh, right. He just zapped us, right? Yeah.
Did
Clark? I don't think so, Clark.
Clark, hit us up. I sent you.
Yeah, we'll drop him a line and drop him an email to see if he got his stuff in the mail. And if you want to get a koozie magnet, do us a favor. Just leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher, however you listen to us, or through Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it now. Take a screen grab, send it to us as a direct message on Twitter or email. thebrewtifulgame@gmail.com is our email. Whatever. Go to the website. Just get it to us, and we'll just let us know you left a review, and we will get a koozie and magnet on out to you soon. I think that covers us.
Guess what?
What?
It's going to be a Brewtiful Christmas.
It's gonna be a
I've
beautiful
already
Christmas.
I've already
And
started.
So this is Christmas.
I got something in mind.
And what have you done? Ron's grabbed crappy beer. We'd better run. That's what's gonna happen. Shall we end with a dad joke?
Oh, it'd be rude if we don't.
From the dad joke book that Ron got me last Christmas. All right. Whenever I try to go through this randomly, I always end up landing on things I've already done.
Can't wait.
I'm going to say this one in a Southern accent. I think it works better.
Okay.
Why didn't the dad, this is number one. By the way, in this dad joke book, this is considered number one, and this is our sign off. You may never listen to our show again. Number one of the dad jokes. Why didn't the dad take his trash out for the waste collectors? They'd already been and gone.
Oh, God.
There you go.
So fucking terrible.
That's one of the better ones, though.
It's actually, I know that's what's sad. It's like actually not as bad as some of the
Already
others I've
been
heard.
and gone. I see what they did there.
Yeah.
That's
see,
a good
dude?
one, yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Cheers.
Slanjava.
Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.